G'day everyone, I'm Smokescreen and welcome back to another video, and this is the first of what is a smokescreen phenomenon on my channel, thanks to a daily race a couple of weeks ago. Over the next 4 days, I've got 4 videos for you, one each day, released at 3 PM. Around this combination here. Daily Race C from a couple of weeks ago, Circuit de Sainte-Croix C in the reverse direction in Group 4. It was Daily Race C, of course, 5 laps in the Group 4 cars here. And pretty much, I was addicted to this combination. Essentially, I did like 10 races. I only have a couple of days a week where I can actually play the game. So, you know, I only had like 2 days where I could actually play. But over those 2 days, I did like 10 races. And all of them were interesting in some way, so I thought, you know what, let's lob them all together and make 4 videos. Sainte-Croix phenomenon. It's also an excellent circuit, and I think it is worthy of having a little bit of a marathon, I guess you could call it here. But we qualify second on the grid here, behind the Peugeot RCZ, driven by Grim 610 Reaper. Up ahead, front-wheel drive cars here, the FF cars actually, you know, they're not, you know, OP in the sense that nobody can touch them. It's because of the tyre wear in this race, the FF cars balance out with the rest of the field, so they're the fastest qualifying cars 100%, but in the race it's fairly even, although he has stretched out a little bit of a gap at this point here. But thanks to this track being the reverse layout of the circuit, the 1.8 kilometer long straight is just in sort of in the first portion of the lap. So thankfully we were able to close up under braking on that entry into turn 9 there, and we're able to get this slipstream going down the straight. Now the Peugeot up ahead, very, very OP in a straight line. So in terms of the race, it's not OP, but its straight line speed is OP. But thanks to the slipstream and the good top end of this Lamborghini, we are able to overhaul that poor Peugeot at the end of the straight, heading up towards turn 10 there. The 7th gear in this Lamborghini is the real key to being so good at overtaking here. But we managed to overtake that car there up into the lead, and we're going to come through turn 11 now and just keep an eye on that gap, because now we've got to focus on braking slipstream. Another little bit of a straight across the Sainte-Croix bridge here. So it's another opportunity for that Peugeot to catch up, and out of that mid-speed corner there, he is going to catch up quite a bit because of that acceleration that Peugeot has. Coming down towards turn 12 though, off-camber bumps all the way through that corner there. You have to get the car into the apex, and we're going to head up the hill through these series of corners of turns 13 and 14. The Peugeot is going to be understeering for days. You see it's out wide on the radar there, and then coming into turn 15 here, very, very close to the back of my car here. But then on the exit there, I get a superior exit there, 4 tenths, 5 tenths on the exit, 6 tenths, looking for that 7th tenth barrier there, and it's just broken. We've just broken slipstream thanks to getting a good exit out of one singular corner at turn 15 here at Sainte-Croix. Now, I'm going to leave the rest of this lap in. Nothing much happened. We'll do a track guide on the following lap, lap 2 of this race, but we'll just talk about the strategy of this race at the moment. Hard and medium tyres available for use here, and the hard tyres are the mandatory tyre. You have a choice of 3 strategies. You can go for a 1-stop or a no-stop. No-stop, of course, you'll have to do all 5 laps on your hard tyres, but you avoid that pit stop. Or you can do a 1-stop. You can start the race on either medium or hard, and then swap to the opposite tyre on either laps 2, 3 or 4. So if you start on the hard, you can come in at the end of lap 1 or 2. Sorry, I missed the lap 1 before. And then if you start on the medium, you can come in on the ends of lap 3 or 4, depending on whether you're in traffic and if your car is good on tyre wear or not. So FF cars probably do the 2 and then the 3 laps, whereas like the Lamborghini here, if I'm in clear air, I can stretch out the medium tyres to 4 laps, and I do that on a couple of occasions, a couple of instances here in these races that I completed around this track. I'm going to come through a lap guide now. Final corner is easily flat out. Turn 24 of this massive circuit here, nearly 11 kilometers long this track is here. But coming into turn 1 is a sort of very quick right-hander, looking on the left-hand side of the circuit, braking just on the painted sort of barriers on the left-hand side, 4th gear, chuck it in, get onto the curb on the inside, it pulls you around a little bit more, but we don't do that this time. They're coming into turn 2, braking just on the end of the curb on the right, 4th gear once again, similar fashion to turn 1, and then bring it out for the exit. Turn 3 is the entry to turn 4, flat out through turn 3, looking on the right hand side, the end of that stripy barrier, brake and down 1 gear on the 4th, onto that curb on the inside, pulls you around. Be very careful through this corner here, you can hit that Michelin sign on the left. And then coming into turn 6 now, it's just a lift, dab of the brakes if you require, and then just careful not to get on the grass. This is flat out when you get it right, flat out here, flat out again here if you get it right, brake it just on the start of the fencing on the right hand side, and then bring it nice and late for the apex there. We just missed it slightly, but not to worry there. That was just a matter of maybe having a little bit of tyre wear factored into this race here. We've got this massive straight now, 1.8 kilometers long. It's almost as long as the one at Tokyo Expressway, and to put that in perspective for you, on the mini-map on the top right, it doesn't look quite as long as it is when you're actually racing because the track is so massive, whereas Tokyo Expressway is a more average lap distance. It's got a gigantic straight. Looking on the left hand side, braking just in between the sort of shack and the trees on the left hand side there, 4th or 3rd gear depending on how fast you're going. Essentially you can do 3rd for more rotation. Looking on the right hand side, braking just before the start of the trees on the right hand side, 3rd gear, trail brake it in. We run a little bit wide, so maybe you could select 2nd there. In qualifying it's 3rd gear however in this car, and then we're heading on the bridge once again. Braking point is a bit funny for this corner. Looking on the right hand side, on the end of the barrier, there's a mark on the road, triangle on the road, and sort of a white mark on the right hand side of the barrier there, sort of just using both, just judging accordingly for that corner there. Flat out up the hill here. Then looking on the right hand side, you've got all these Michelin signs, and then there's 5 all next to each other. Looking on the gap between the 2nd and the 3rd board is what I was doing, and braking just as the gap sort of goes onto the edge of the screen, braking for that corner there. Flat out through turn 16 into turn 17, braking just on the end of the orange tents on the right hand side, and bring it in 3rd gear corner. We run a little bit wide there, so that's tyre wear factoring in. Looking on the right hand side, braking just on the end of the trees on the right hand side, same sort of technique as the previous corner. And we get through there nicely. Looking on the right hand side for the braking point for turn 19, just on the 100 meter board, or just before it at the start of the curb. Bring it in here. You can go all the way out to the curb on the outside, but do not go onto that gravel. And then we're going to bring it over to the left hand side as the next corner is a right hander, braking just on the start of the curb or after the start of the curb. 3rd gear around here. You can get a one wheel onto the grass and it pulls you around a little bit more, braking just on the end of that dark bit of tarmac that was directly underneath the car for the very slow hairpin. 2nd or 1st gear, you can select there. You can get 1st for the launch or 2nd for the momentum. Heading up the final, or well, I guess yeah, the final straight bit of the lap. We've got a very street circuit-esque corner coming up for turn 23. Barriers on the very edge of the road here. Looking on the braking boards just after the 150 meter board. 2nd gear, look how slow we go. It's only a 90-degree corner. We're going under 100 k's an hour. That's how tight that corner is thanks to the barriers. And through the final corner, turn 24, easily flat out. Not really anything to worry about there. And that is a lap of Circuit de Sainte-Croix C2, or more correctly pronounced Circuit de Sainte-Croix. But that marks the end of the 2nd lap. Therefore, the 3rd lap was our in lap. We were going to do for the 3 laps on the medium, 2 on the hard. Come in for the pits. We're 12 seconds ahead of the guy in 2nd at this point here. So we're easily going to come out in the lead here on the hard tyre. Yes, we do. 4 seconds, nearly 5 seconds, still in the lead, and we've got a pit stop in hand. It's going to be interesting to see at the end of the race here, however, that Hearts Cry, the guy in 2nd, only dropped about 4 seconds, so I think he may have gone for the no stop, as I did not recall or see him pit at any point during this race, and that Audi TT would have been an absolute understeery handful at the end of that race there. But that's an easy victory for the first of many races here at Sainte-Croix over the next 4 days. I've been working hard to get these ones to you, and I'm going to have them ready all at the same time. So we open it up with a nice victory there. The Lamborghini Huracan is probably the best choice for this combination, aside from the Audi TT or Peugeot ACZ. Those 2 cars are the fastest cars around 1 lap pace, but for those who do not want to drive an FF car, aka me, the Lamborghini Huracan is a very good choice. Good in a straight line, fairly good handling, good brakes, 4-wheel drive, So you're going to suffer from that understeer a little bit, but I'd choose for each of these races +4 brake bias, so 4 notches to the rear of the car, 4 out of possible 5, so almost completely to the back. It just evens out the car, and if you can control the oversteer that can cause, you can get very comfortable using that rearward brake bias. But we're going to start the second race. We start in second position this time. Our qualifying time actually is not very indicative of how fast I can go. It was like a 3:43.1 for my lap time, for my qualifying lap time. I could have easily gotten into a 42, a low 42, or even a 41 if I kept trying. So we start in second position behind the aqua-coloured Audi TT of Gredi01. We see him quite frequently. He was having a good run in these races here, but we're just going to try and focus on keeping on to the back of him. So the optimal strategy starting at the front of the grid is the medium tyre to start off with, so I assume that Audi TT is on the medium tyre. However, they are slow throughout the first portion of this race, and they're very narrow heading in through turn 6 there. That's a recipe for going wide onto that grass there. Looking around the outside as we head through turn 7 into turn 8 into the braking zone for 9. He's on the inside. I'm looking around the outside, not going to work as this corner is more nearly 180 degrees, a complete U-turn there, but we're now onto the straight. That Audi TT is going to have the superior acceleration in the first 5 gears, but the Lamborghini soon gets up to speed as that Audi TT struggles when it gets near its top end, whereas that Lamborghini, thanks to the extra 7th gear, just keeps on accelerating there. So we're heading down the straight. The Audi TT very close behind, is not able to get the slingshot past the straight in order to put a move into turn 10. However, he is looking up the inside. However, a chop across the front of him into the braking zone, getting to the inside of the corner. You can get away with that thanks to the nature of this corner. Uphill, off camber, very understeery corner, so you do have to be careful under braking there. And then heading in towards turn 11 now. He's very close behind me. He's going to be in the slipstream as we head across the bridge. Potentially could go for a move as we enter turn 12 at the end of the straight. Up on the left-hand side of the circuit here, which is the inside. I push him defensive onto the inside. He's offline. I'm hoping he goes deep at this point here, as he will have that brake bias all the way to the back in that Audi there. However, he pulls it up nicely and he gets that move done. Looking for the switchback around the outside of turn 13. However, he has the inside, and I did not want to understeer off the circuit, so I just concede that position. You can see how far wide he understeers heading up the hill as we sort of doing that mid-speed acceleration, and then in towards turn 15 there. It's quite clear to me that he is a little bit quicker at this point in the race, as he managed to get that move redone on myself quite quickly there. However, coming through this section here, he's quite slow through these sort of fast-flowing sort of right-hand turns here. They're very sort of, the track is so wide that these 90-degree turns just feel so quick, as you have so much track width to keep the car momentum up at this point here. And then coming in towards turn 19, he runs a little bit deep, looking for the cutback on the exit there. I'm on the left-hand side, on the inside for turn 20. Coming into turn 21, the left-hander, or the right-hander here, my apologies, he pulls it up on the apex there. I just touched the back of him, and well...
Smell to hai. Pooja, what is this behavior?
I'm sorry, I kicked it by mistake.
You can't kick it by mistake.
I get a penalty, so that's the penalty system we're dealing with in this race, this sort of phase of Gran Turismo Sport's lifetime here. 1 second penalty for lightly touching the back of him. To be fair, he did drive off the track, but I didn't make my way past. You saw, rewind and have a look at my brake trace. There was braking after the exit of the corner in order to stay behind this Audi, so he was running defensive. He pulled it up on the apex, and a slight misjudgment from myself meant that I just touched the back of him as he was sort of pulling it up for the apex to sort of stop any move I may have got on that exit there, and he's successfully done so, obviously, but the penalty system decided otherwise, that I should be awarded a 1 second penalty from colliding with another car. No, nothing came of it. He did go off circuit, but I didn't drive past, I didn't gain a position out of it, so, you know, I'm not really understanding what the penalty is trying to sort of, the message it's trying to convey here, that I can't bump draft, but it wasn't a bump draft. I don't know, man. But I was quite frustrated at this point, so obviously not at Gredi, maybe. You know, I was frustrated that it turned out that way, but it's not his fault. He put on a very good defense and I can't get mad at that, but it's just unfortunate that this is the penalty system we've been given. Us players here, we have to pay for PlayStation Plus, so that's in the best case scenario, you pay $80 a year for PlayStation Plus to give you the ability to race online. So a portion of that, I would imagine, goes to Gran Turismo in order to keep their online services running. That's what I would imagine would happen. And from sales of the game and DLC purchase and in-car purchases, you see we're going to serve this penalty halfway down the massive straights. We're going to lose momentum all the way down the straight. You can see we're 3.5 seconds ahead of the guy in third, Grande there. The straight is so long that 3.5 seconds back, you do have to cast your attention to the car behind, because they could overtake you by the end of the straight, although maybe not quite in this case here. But the point I was making before, we are loyal and give our hard-earned money to Polyphony, and they can't even give us a proper penalty system nearly 3 years after the release of the game. It's quite disappointing, because you can see I was having a good race with that Audi there, but it came very swiftly to an end thanks to a penalty that was a little bit iffy. But he comes into the pits on the end of lap 2. This was interesting. He was on the hard tyre to start off, and I was the same pace on the medium. So Grady, I think, is a bit overmatched for this lobby, as we were the same pace, and he was on a, one compound harder tyre there. So I think at this point here, when we go in for our pit stop, Grady is caught up behind. He's only 1.6 seconds behind as we enter the pit. So he's pitted and caught back up to me on my extra medium lap. He would now be on medium tyres for the final 3 laps of his race there. He's absolutely shot up into the lead. 5.6, 6.2, 6.6 seconds, 7 seconds ahead of me. It was changing as I was speaking as we head through turn 1, 7.3 seconds ahead of me. So he's absolutely blindsided me by his hard to medium strategy as opposed to my medium to hard strategy. We were able to keep a fairly consistent pace compared to one another. But he's obviously a faster driver, considering that he got away with the harder tyre there. And they're coming out of the pits. That's an awkward moment. So the pit exit here, right onto the racing line. So you can have slow-moving cars coming straight out into your face as you're trying to enter turn 1. But we managed to make our way past Grande, who pitted a lap later than us. He finished 4.8 seconds back. We brought it home, rather, if we're going to use correct grammar and actual words. Brought it home in second position, 10 seconds off the leader. We did have a penalty about halfway through that race, which lost us over 2 seconds, but still 10 seconds, fairly convincing victory there by Grady, and I suppose I can't be mad with the second position. Didn't bin it or anything, so that's always a positive. So we'll just end that one there. I've got plenty more coming, so the fairly modest length videos over the next 4 days. I could have put 2 massive 40-minute videos, but I think 4 videos around 20 minutes is a bit of a better choice there, especially it gives you 4 solid days of Smokescreen videos. So do subscribe if you'd like to see those drop into your subscription box as they are released, and do hit that like button if you enjoyed this one. But that's from the end of this one today, and that means that is it from me. So once again, I do thank you very much for watching. See you later.